Let me tell you something about silence. There's a quiet that follows the people who don't post. In a world that screams through pixels and filters, their stillness almost feels suspicious. You scroll through endless stories and smiling faces, all bathed in artificial light, and suddenly you realize there's someone who hasn't said anything in months, maybe years. You wonder if they're okay or if they just disappeared. But maybe their silence isn't emptiness. Maybe it's a statement, a quiet rebellion against the noise, a reflection of a mind that no longer needs applause to feel alive. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that posting was proof of existence. That if a moment wasn't shared, it didn't happen. But the quiet ones, the ones who stay behind the glass instead of pressing their faces against it, they see through the illusion. They watch the endless loop of validation, the dopamine dance of likes and hearts, and something inside them hesitates. They feel the rhythm of something slower, more inward, a rhythm that doesn't need to be witnessed to be real. For them, social media isn't evil, it's just loud. Too loud for a mind that's tired of performing, too shallow for a heart that still craves sincerity. They've seen how easy it is to pretend you're happy while breaking inside, how simple it is to filter out your flaws until even you start believing the lie. So they step back, not because they don't care, but because they care too much about truth, about peace, about their sanity. The person who doesn't post isn't always antisocial or detached. Sometimes they're just observant. They watch others rush to capture every fleeting second, turning memories into merchandise, emotions into content. And quietly they think, maybe I don't want to live like that. Maybe I don't want my joy measured by an algorithm. Maybe I just want to be without an audience. And there's power in that choice. Because in a world where everyone wants to be seen, choosing invisibility becomes an act of strength. The more we show, the less we feel. The more we chase attention, the further we drift from ourselves. But the silent ones, they've learned to listen. They hear the hum beneath the noise, the voice of their own mind, the whisper of their own emotions. Maybe they're sitting in a cafe, watching people photograph their latte. Maybe they're walking through a park feeling the wind instead of recording it. Maybe they're reading in bed while the world scrolls through someone else's highlights. There's something sacred in that simplicity. But silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's pain, the kind that doesn't fit inside a caption. Maybe they once trusted too easily, shared too deeply, and discovered that the world doesn't handle vulnerability with care. So they built walls of quiet, not to isolate, but to protect what's real. Still, even silence has its own noise. It echoes inside the mind. Do they remember me? Would anyone notice if I disappeared? That's the paradox. They don't want attention, but they still long for connection. They want to be understood, not watched, valued, not displayed. And that's the unseen truth of modern loneliness. We confuse visibility with belonging, but the people who disappear from the feed, they often find themselves again in the stillness. Not posting doesn't mean they've vanished. It means they've chosen recovery from overexposure. They're reclaiming their right to privacy, to mystery, to exist without commentary. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's full of thought, of observation, of meaning. It's the pause between notes that gives the melody its shape. In that pause, they rediscover the beauty of being unobserved. They stop reaching for their phone every time something beautiful happens. They stop thinking, how will this look? And start asking, how does this feel? They remember that life was never meant to be aesthetic. It was meant to be lived. And that's the quiet revolution of people who don't post. They're not missing out. They're just living differently, slower, deeper, truer. They're choosing presence over performance, peace over visibility. And in a world obsessed with being seen, they've remembered the power of